Hello and welcome to Metal Effort. My name's Nehemiah, and today we're doing something a little bit different. So one of my viewers contacted me. He wishes to remain anonymous. I might even just give this video to you personally, but if he approves it, I might release this publicly. So obviously, if you're watching this, you'll know if he approved it. So what's going on here is my viewer contacted me. He's been watching my channel for a while now, and maybe like 6 months ago only had like 1 or 2 knives, and now he's up to 14 plus. And he just wanted my opinion on the knives, kind of the condition of them, the action of them. About half the knives I've done a review for, but many I have not. So this is kind of mutually beneficial to us. I can review the ones I haven't reviewed yet, and for the ones that I have, I can give him some insight on what the action stacks up against. For instance, I have a Laconic Arius of my own, but I can compare the Gen 3. This is a Gen 3, I have a Gen 2, so we can kind of look at the differences. But really what this video is going to be about is just kind of what is the current condition of the knives. He's given me permission to take apart the knives and kind of tune them up. So I'm going to just go through each knife that he sent me and kind of talk about my first impressions and then what I plan to do to help fix the action if it needs it. So first things first, let's get rid of a bunch of these knives and we'll dive into our first comparison. So with the Laconic Arius here, it's a Gen 3, as I mentioned, which is M390. I know there is a change to the flipper tab. It's a little bit more angular compared to mine, which is more of kind of a flat shelf, no jimping. I'm noticing some action differences for sure. I don't know precisely what changes were made, if any, or if it's just general variance between one knife to another. But the action is fantastic on this knife. It deploys really, really nicely. Very authoritative on the flipper tab. But when I went to do the Spidey flick, I realized that overall the detent's lighter, so it's not quite as snappy, but it also facilitates you just putting more power into it. So I can kind of do it soft like that, or if I want to load it up, I can really hammer it home. Where on my Arius, it's more of like a pent up pressure and then release, and it's a little bit more jarring, not necessarily for better or for worse, just I don't know, it's a stronger detent, so everything that goes with a stronger detent is kind of implied here. I think it's definitely more comfortable to flip the new Gen 3. I do prefer the flipper tab to the old shelf. It's not a difference that I'm necessarily worried about running out and getting a new version, but ultimately I think the action on this is pretty good. And so I think, you know, nothing out of the normal as far as action. It's definitely not the same action as this, but still very good. And drop sheddiness is awesome. It's centered. And I don't think there's anything I could do to the action to make it better than this. This is pretty smooth. Just as smooth as mine. So that gets a passing grade. I don't think I even need to get into that one. Let's do one that I do need to do something. So at first, this is the Forge Gent, and flipping it out, I was like, ooh, this is awesome action, and it falls shut. And then I realized, ooh, centering is badly off, and sure enough, there is some major play. So this is one that just needs to get in, take the scales off, take it apart, tighten it up, clean it up. I'm going to definitely service this one and see if we can get the blade centered, remove that blade play, and still maintain the good action. I'll update you after I've done some work on that, but that's kind of the current condition on the Gent. Let's see. Next, the Atom. This is the the Atom just was announced or released. This is the Neutron. I had a Neutron. I reviewed it a long time ago. Really like that knife. I was really sad that I had to sell it at the time, but such is life. This action is much more tight than the Atom that I had. I did have to clean it out and really work on the action to get it where I wanted it to be. So I think we'll get into, I keep calling it the Atom, the Neutron. We'll get into this Neutron and see if we can improve the action. I got it to flick maybe like once. Yeah, there we go. But it's kind of gritty, or not gritty so much. It's just tight. I don't know. Maybe the the actual pivot could just be loosened up a bit. So we'll get into this. We'll see if we can tune that up. Next is the Adam Pervis Progeny. And this I really like. The action on this is pretty fantastic. It feels, I don't know who made this. I need to look it up. But without looking it up, it feels like a Wii on the action. The open and close on it is just pretty buttery smooth. I really like the flipper tab on this. It's centered. There's no blade play. I think this one's pretty much good to go. I don't need to touch this one. I don't think it would be any different. It seems pretty smooth. So this one is pretty much good to go. Here's another knife I've reviewed. This is the Bryan Addo Micro Typhoon. And this one feels exactly like mine that I reviewed. The detent is very unique on this. This is one of Bryan Addo's kind of signature features on his knives. And the detent is very snappy. It opens up really, really nice. And then it's kind of a smooth, deliberate close. It's not ever going to be fall shutty just by the virtue of how the detent kind of ramp is in there. It's not a detent ball. It's a detent ramp. And I like it. It's good. It still closes pretty good, even though it's never going to be like super guillotine. The action is overall pretty smooth. Again, centered, no blade play. I think this one is pretty much good to go, exactly as I would expect. This feels just like mine after I had tuned mine, so you're good on that one. Here's a knife I haven't had a chance to review yet. This is the Hunter, and I looking at pictures of this, I just kind of, I don't know, I can't not see the little boat. This just looks like a little boat cruising along. You got your in front of the boat here, you got a little window. I just picture a little guy going, and I can't unsee that. But this is really awesome. The Spidey flick action is great. The front flipper, just everything about it, the action is really, really good. I was surprised at just how smooth it is. You do have to make sure you don't pinch your lock bar when you're holding it, but it took me a couple seconds to pretty much get that down. I really like this knife. This is really, really good. I'm actually quite interested in it now. I think this is perfectly tuned. Again, centered, no blade play, and the action is really, really, really smooth. So this is one we don't need to touch. We'll set that off to the side. You know what they say, when there's smoke, there's fire? No, there's more smoke. So I've got 3 Booze Blade smokes in my possession right now. This is on loan from Nick Shabazz. I liked it so much, I started to look for a trade or a purchase of one of the carbon fiber ones, which I kind of wanted to get my hands on to compare. Trade came my way, and I was able to pick this one up in trade. So this one's actually mine. I'll be keeping this one. And this is our mystery person's smoke. I like the action on the smoke. It's made by Wii, obviously. It's pretty good. I will say the detent's a little bit weak on this one compared to the other ones. It's a little bit snappier. I've realized, I think both of these, yeah, I would say these are perfectly tuned detents. This one's a little bit soft, still totally doable. It's not like a wet noodle or anything like that. And the top flipper is a little bit lackluster, just a little bit, I don't know. It's okay. I think it's in good condition as far as the actual finish and all that stuff. I may take this one apart and see if it helps. It's not so much that it's gritty. I mean, it's very smooth and light. It's more about the detent, and there's not really much I could do about the detent. So this one may be one I can't fix. But we'll see. I might get into this one and see if it makes a difference. I don't think it will. Next is your Ray Laconico here. This is another one that I also have on loan from Nick Shabazz. They look identical, so I taped Shabazz's just so I don't get them mixed up. There is a difference in action here, so this is yours. The open feels pretty much the same, but once I get the tang of the detent ball and the tang of the blade, the drop shuttiness is pretty poor. I mean, I got to do like 3 really hard jostles to get it close. So I'm going to get into this one. I think this one just needs to be cleaned out and lubed up. I think I can probably make this better. And the reason, obviously, is I've got Nick's, which I'm sure was tuned. opens about the same, but it's more like one strong jostle gets it most of the way there. So we'll see if we can get into this one and make it as good as this one. So there you go. Next is a Liang Ma Design knife. I really didn't do my research for this kind of off the rails video, but I don't know the name of this one. I know he's got a utility folder that just came out. This might be the kitchen utility. I don't know, but I like this knife. It's got really good action, actually. So the Spidey flick is super good. The D10's dialed in. It hammers home. Flipper tab is kind of a hidden flipper tab here. I actually really like that flipper tab. It's a little bit awkward on like your finger kind of ramming into the top of it, but once you kind of learn how to yank it away from that, it's fine. Just took me a couple minutes to get used to that. I like the Spidey flick so much on there. I don't know how much I would actually use the flipper tab, but it's nice to have both options there, and I think they are both tuned for the detent. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have fun reviewing this. I don't even know the name of it yet, but I'll definitely put more time in on this one. It's centered, and the action is awesome on this one. I don't think we need to get into it, but I will do a review on that one. Here's another mystery knife. It's a Riot. Does it say the name? What does that say? Lambert? That's got to be the guy that designed it. I don't know the name of this, but I like the action. This is basically falchetti. This is the best close action of all the knives you sent me. I mean, that's smooth as butter. There's a little bit of a hop to get onto the tang of the blade, but it's not an issue, especially since you have the flipper tab to kind of get it to the right, angle, and then you can just let the blade drop shut. So this is really good action. I mean, smooth as butter. Opens really nice. Detent's perfect. I'm really impressed with the action on this knife. It kind of looks a little goofy. I don't know. I'll do a full review on this and spend more time with it, but I like it. My first impressions are pretty positive, actually. A lot more than, based just on the looks of it or the shape of it. So that's good. Next is another CKF knife, which I'm becoming more and more of a fanboy here. I like this. I don't know the name of this. Osmo or Usmo or I don't know. I should pull up the email and just read off the names, but that's what smart people do. I don't know, whatever. It's got the little disc type. It's not a literal disc, but that kind of idea here. So you could do a thumb open. I hate thumb opens like that. It's so weird. I feel like as I'm opening it slow motion, I'm just bound to cut myself like here. I don't know. It's a silly concern, but I prefer Spidey flicking these types of things, and it's actually pretty easy to do. Just hammer it home from the opposite side, and detent on this is good. Action on this is good. Once you get the detent ball and the ting of the blade, one jostle should do it. It's not as falchetti as that Riot, but still really, really good action. No blade play, and it's centered. So don't need to get into this one. I think this one's pretty much ready to go. I'll probably review this as well. I got a lot of knives to review. Jeez. All right, second to last is this beast. This is Todd Big, maybe? TB Steelcraft series. This has got to be a Todd Big, right? That's his thing, the holes. I don't know, man. This is anonymous, so I'm not going to hold any punches here. This knife, I think, is the most ugly knife I've ever held. This is butt ugly. Because it's like, I don't know, this half of the knife here reminds me of like, I don't know, some really flashy like cowboy boots or something. Like a cowboy just has too much money and doesn't know what to do with it. But then you have this side, and it's like a tactical, weird kind of M-Tech type blade. And then you put them together, the color scheme, and like, they just don't belong together. Yeah, I'll probably do a review of this. I might not if I can't think of enough positive things to say about it. Lots of hot spots. I mean, you just got this stuff just like coming off the end. It's like a spur again on the boot. The diamond stuff, it gives you some traction, but it's a little much. It's like it's the negatives of both. Like, it's still kind of slippery, and it's like aggravating to your skin at the same time. It's weird. The lock bar is like digesting my thumb. There's a little bit of lock stick if you don't get it in the right angle. The action is okay. I noticed the detent is actually kind of light on this, so you really have to put some power into it to get it to open. It's really easy to fail to open. Like, if I just kind of do it half-hearted, it's not going to open all the way. Like, it barely makes it to the finish line if I'm not. Yeah, it's alright. This is weird. I know this can't be a cheap knife, but you know, if somebody didn't have this and we didn't have like the trademark holes in the fuller, which is, yeah, I don't know, man. Teach his own. But I don't like this knife. I don't think there's anything I can do to improve the action on this. It's centered. There's no blade play. It's smooth enough. It's just a really weak detent. So, yeah. All right, last knife is the Lamech Wayfarer 247. This is probably the most attractive knife that you sent me. You know, aesthetically, you got some mokume on the clip, nice big old clip, which looks really, really nice. I did notice there's a little bit of a ding right there. I just want to document that. I just took this out of the box. The action on this is really surprising. So the detent is not, I don't know. It's hard to tell how hard the detent is because it's so gritty on the close. Like, it's so, like, I'm pushing and it's like stop starting. Like, this is extreme pressure. Like, if I took my Koenig Arius and then as I got the detent ball on the tang of the blade, and then I'm just pinching it down as hard as I can, this knife is still smoother than this one. I'm pinching this down. So it's impossible for me to Spidey flick this. Like, I don't know if it's the detent ball is pushing up so hard against the tang of the blade that's what's causing the issue, or if it's just beyond gritty. I don't know, but I definitely need to get into this knife and see if I can fix it. Luckily, you sent, or he sent, depending on who's watching this, the proprietary tool to get in it. I'll be really careful with that. I'm going to see if I can resurrect this, because it opens with the flipper tab. That's not an issue, but the action, like, I don't think I can close it from jostles alone. Like, if I really... there we go. Whoo! I think this is probably the worst close of a knife I've ever used, so... Hopefully this is not par for the course for Lamech's. As far as... I'm going to review this knife. The ergos are actually fantastic. Really, really good. I love the kind of pistol grip. Fills the hand perfectly. I think this is the kind of knife that's not going to fit everybody equally. But for somebody with medium-sized hands, this fits like a glove. I really like the position the blade is kind of put in from that grip. You're locked in on the jimping. The flipper tab kind of locks you in as well. I really like that. The action is just poopy. Like, oof. It's almost like a slip joint, man. Like, it's that bad. It's centered, but we'll get into it. So that's it. That's kind of our first impressions. I'm gonna, over time, review the knives, get in there, tune them up, and I'll probably do a follow-up video to kind of see if anything got better or worse. Hopefully not worse. If anything got better or stayed the same, and obviously you'll see reviews on the knives when they come out. So you have that to look forward to. Thank you for lending the knives. It definitely helps with the content, just having, food for the fire. So thanks for checking in, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.